Story time. On this day, one of them would gain their magic powers. Story time. He was very handsome, and all the ladies that looked at him fell in love. The guy that was walking him was okay. Story time. Her son flew miles just to be her waiter for a day.
A day?
Yeah.
Holy Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Oh my God.
Story time. She only had one plan for this new year. World domination.
All right.
Story time. Here she comes, the queen, able to kill men with a single stare.
You better watch out, honey.
Story time. One of these men forgot to check their flies. That man was me. These three were fine. Story time. And the award for the cutest pair goes to this pair. Which is now the property of this most adorable couple. Story time. She had no clue she was about to run into a bridge that was nowhere near her. Story time. Everyone in this room was entirely straight. April Fool's. Fake news! Story time. She never even knew her shirt had a hole. Lot of style. Story time. In every group of friends, there's the dumb one.
Really?
Story time. Suddenly the two felt the urge to get up and dance.
And then the Vine guy joined them.
Woo! Yeah! Story time. Little did she know the mysterious figure creeping up behind her. Story time. To test their love, she decided to use her scary face. Oh. Story time. With this final bag, she had completely disposed of the body.
Oh, my cover.
Story time. They were having a lovely time, and then all of a sudden a duck flew above them, and it was beautiful and majestic. Story time. This was the moment the lad would propose to the girl.
No.
Story time. He was a gracious soul, offering food to those in need. His kindness Story time. On this blessed day, the two proclaimed their love. Oh, shoot, you guys okay? Story time. The two were models, and they loved to strut their stuff. Story time. It was clear that a romance was blossoming between them. No! A romance lasting a lifetime. Story time. After months of research, she concluded that in 50 years, all men would be extinct. Story time. The man was about to step on a snake! On a snake! But he missed it! Story time. Of all the works of art in this room, she was the loveliest. Story time. The store clerk believed he had put the wrong cans on the shelf. But he was right all along. Story time. One of these friends tended to overshare secrets about the other.
She has a crush on Tarzan!
Story time. It was common law that a flower be presented to the loveliest lass.
Well, and of course that's me.
Story time. At last, the two came together for a tender kiss. Oh. Story time. The lad decided to do the honorable thing and share his treat with Mother. Oh. Story time. It became clear to them that one of them had let out a huge fart. Story time. The man knew exactly what to do to embarrass his son. Story time. The woman was alone, but she seemed to be haunted by ghosts of her past.
You're haunting me.
Story time. One among them could strike the mightiest of poses. Oh, shoot! Story time. Little did this gumdrop know they would soon grow up to be a mighty princess.
I know.
Story time. The man's butt scratching was complete.
Dude, what?
It was delightful.
True.
What?
Story time. With that curl, he knew he was now ready to beat up that kid Jimmy at school for stealing his milk.
Stupid Jimmy.
Story time. He ripped into the bagel ravenously as if tearing into the carcass of a dead gazelle.
Dude.
Mrs. Sanders was afraid of frogs, even though there were no frogs there.
Stupid!
Story time. And that's when they became horribly lost.
Are we lost?
No.
He lied.
Stop it.
Story time. As he squeezed the melons, he pictured them as the hearts of his enemies. Story time. The teacher slaved over the board. She stared at Thomas with a mighty rage. Story time. Little did the kid know their hair was being chopped right off.
What? Don't worry.
Story time. The girl offered him a flyer, but he refused. But she gravely insisted. Story time. At long last, they got to retreat to the park to read their dirty novels.
Yeah, it's about earthworms.
Story time. Sadly, only one cookie remained in the store.
Sorry, boys. Daddy's getting that cookie.
Story time. He looked out of the field of beheaded warriors, and in his hands he held the head of the Pumpkin King. He had won. Story time. Just like all the other flowers in this garden, she was just as exquisite.
Shut up!
Story time. The receptionist's dark secret was that the computers were only used for Minesweeper.
How did you know?
Story time. No matter how fast he ran, he could not escape the demon, but he would not let his soul be taken today! Story time. At last, the kitten had a family to call its own, and it would like to be called Norbert.
No.
What's their name?
Puppet.
Yeah! Story time. She stared at the gown and thought, yes, this is something my husband would wear. Story time. The man came to the bus stop every day to pick up hot chicks. Story time. They enjoyed sleep so much, they often took naps in the street and could not get back up. Hotel fun. You have now reached the lobby.
The lobby?
I lied. Story time. She had been waiting her whole life for someone to sweep her off her feet. And then you feel... Story time. The ladies congregate here every day to scope out the hot dudes.
Yeah, we do.
Story time. She heard that a kick would release a free movie. She heard wrong. Story time. The girl loved smelling her phone. It filled her with delight. She sniffed once more. Story time. She claimed to know all the information, but did not know how to heal my broken heart. Or did she? Story time. She then discovered a booger residing in her nose. It would never be removed. Story time. They would be the very best, like no one ever was.
And overcoming social anxiety.
Yeah! Oh my... Story time. Into the bag he snuck looking for treasure.
He's looking for my candy.
Oh, but his plans were foiled! Story time. She waited every day with her arms outstretched for a hug, and she was about to get one. Story time. In a twist of fate, the gamer has become the game. Ah! It's not me! Story time. There they were, and they were beautiful. As soon as they were seen, hearts swelled.
Because I have your food?
Yeah! Story time. At last, the hero arrived to deliver peace and joy to this dark world. I have to pay him. I am so sorry. Story time. It's been years, but their quest to spot the booty has remained fruitless.
Found it.
Story time. The young man sat there drinking his grape juice.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
I am a
No.
god, Brandon. You will bend to my will! Story time.
How does it feel for the narrator to become the narrated?
Very awkward. Story time. Once a guy tried out an app, and it changed his life. Thank you, Vine.